Hello fellas and ladies. It may come as a shock to you, but the film I'm reviewing today is a new Spike Lee joint. Apple and A24 just refused to market this movie, but it's out. It's out. You can go see it in a theater if you want to, take a drive. The movie I'm referring to is Highest to Lowest, the fifth collaboration with Denzel Washington and Spike Lee. Again, why is Apple and A24, but let's be real, Apple refusing to do anything with this movie. A24 can be bad at marketing, but I think at the very least they acknowledge that the movies they release exist. So I think this is an Apple thing. Anyway, Highest to Lowest sees Denzel as a big music executive. He's well regarded in the industry, but suddenly he's entwined with a kidnapping plot gone wrong and a whole bunch of other shenanigans that show up in his face. I should also mention this is a adaptation or a reimagining of an Akira Kurosawa movie called High and Low, which admittedly I haven't seen. Akira Kurosawa is a director I have a lot of blind spots for, and this is one of them. So I won't be comparing the two, I'm just judging the movie I saw. Spike Lee is a director who, in the past couple months, I've been trying to really get caught up with him, all the films I haven't seen, and I can now say I definitely have a better grasp of Spike Lee's filmography than I did before. He's definitely a filmmaker who isn't as spotless as we want to think, even though he does get credit for some amazing films. Spike Lee, to me, is like the antithesis of Ridley Scott, where yeah, they're a little, all over the place. They're not always consistent, but I trust Spike Lee much more than I trust Ridley Scott, because you can tell that even at its worst, he comes from a place of true authenticity. He puts a lot of himself in his films almost every time. In some cases, literally, because he stars in a lot of his movies. Like, just the fact that he, loves the Knicks and hates Boston so much. There's a scene in this movie where a guy looks at the camera and says, "Fuck Boston." A lot of him is in his movies, and this is not an exception. There's a lot of swagger in this movie, a lot of style, a lot of ways that he uses the camera, interestingly. Especially in the end, there's a shot sequence that a lot of people are going to talk about, probably, especially this one shot where it, I don't know how to describe it, but there's definitely two perspectives at once in this single shot, and it's very interesting how Spike pulls that off. Maybe that's a thing from the original movie. Again, I haven't seen it, so keep that in mind, please. If you've heard a lot of people say that the first hour is pretty rough, that's a correct statement. You heard correctly. The first hour of this movie is so awkward. There's something just inherently off about this first hour. There's even some line readings that feel like they weren't synced up correctly. The editing is really weird. There was one scene when Denzel Washington was on the terrace with his wife, and the way it was shot, the way the backdrop of New York looked in contrast to the actors, and the way it was staged and edited, I was just like, is this a Russo brothers movie? Why does it look like this? This is supposed to be an auteur filmmaker. I was really lost as to what exactly was happening. What happened in that first hour. And the score, dude, the score is terrible. The score sucks. It's so overtly melodramatic. I felt like I was watching a soap opera at times with that, the way it was playing over conversations. I was like, this is not correct. This feels incorrectly placed. Well, and you might say that feels more like an issue with the editor than the composer. That may be true, but doesn't change the fact that the score is pretty melodramatic. Maybe if I listened to it on its own, I'd be like, it's fine. But the way it was used sucked. So you might be thinking, are you asking us to watch? It's kind of like when you tell someone to watch a show you love, be like, the first season sucks, don't worry, but then it goes after, which I get. I've been in that position myself. Because after, there's a sequence in this movie, with a parade and a train, the sequence where a guy literally looks at the camera and says, "Fuck Boston." Because I was really checked out for a lot of it. I was really just like, can this, this is really not working for me. And then it did. Once the plot gets set in motion, once this kidnapping plot gets on its feet, it's very interesting. I think a lot of what Spike wanted to do really shines through. Or even after this, these set pieces happen, we get back to conversations. The score is somehow less bearing on me. In fact, I would even say the score actually improves. I think it's not only better used, but also the score kind of has some interesting notes. It's less awkward. I don't know what happened in that first hour. I think it needs another go at the editing room, or maybe Spike was more interested in the back half than the first, and put all his energy there, because that's where a lot of what Spike's known for his messaging and his bluntness. I'm interested to see it again, see if it's something I missed in the first hour that I was distracted by its filmmaking that I can maybe catch on to, because the second half really works. First of all, man, Denzel Washington still has it, man. He's still got it. There's something about this performance that made me want to say that, because I think he's very good in Gladiator. I think he's gives one of his best performances to Tragedy Macbeth. I don't even think he's better in this movie than he was in Macbeth, or even I think he's not even that different than he was in Gladiator. But there's something about his swagger and the way he talks and the way he has this effortless charm in this movie that I'm just like, man, this dude, like, truly is one of the greatest actors of all time. The way he performs in this movie, it just is so interesting. Like, cause it's Denzel Washington. It's not his best performance by any means, but it's so vintage Denzel. Like, the charisma leaps through. I also really got to give a shout out to A$AP Rocky. One of the best scenes in the movie is this little standoff between him and A$AP, and Denzel is chewing up the scenery. He is incredible. Then you got A$AP right across, like, literally a window, and who is going toe-to-toe with one of the greatest actors of all time wonderfully. A$AP Rocky is fantastic in this movie. Jeffrey Wright's also amazing. He also gives a couple standout, like, moments. He's definitely a scene stealer in that regard, but I don't think he quite stands toe-to-toe with him the way A$AP does, although granted he never had to in that way, but still great performances, great ensemble altogether. Again, I like the direction a lot, I like the use of the camera, I already mentioned this. The back half really works. It's really just fun. I'm having a lot of fun, even with some of the darker implications that Spike's throwing in there. And this movie definitely has a lot of commentary. Like, the movie's definitely making some of Spike's typical statements on, the way wealth is exploited, the way wealth changes someone, especially when it comes to the black music industry. And that's a lot of where A$AP's character comes in. The way Denzel does that. This movie has a little more optimism than, not that Spike's movies are typically pessimistic, but it ends on a more optimistic note than you would expect from Spike. Maybe that was a studio thing, but it is there, and it was interesting. I don't know. Again, I think it lacks this punch it gives you. It's like when Do the Right Thing and Black Klansman ended, and you're just like, oh shit, he got me. And I don't think this movie quite had that, but I still think it was effective. I don't think it was a missed opportunity, especially since he is adapting. Again, I haven't seen it, but he is adapting a generally well beloved film considered a masterpiece. And maybe if you don't find the the messaging in this, he still got a very fun film, and maybe that's not Spike's intention, but he still did that. If you're put off by the awkward nature of Highest to Lowest's first hour, you're not alone. This is a film that really starts off on a questionable note, but once the plot kicks in, I'd say I had a blast. It may lack the shotgun blast of some of Spike Lee's better efforts, but it's still an interesting film that had me on my toes in moments, and I'll give it 7.5 spikes out of 10. Also has a really good A$AP Rocky song, so that's definitely fun. Alright, that's all I got for you today. Like, subscribe, and share. Go watch this movie if you can. I know it's gonna be hard to.